Hello and welcome, and this is Peter. Today I'd just like to show you a short demonstration of how it is we are building the new documentation for the BI4ALL data models. This is a follow-on from a blog post I released recently where I showed you the end result of what the new documentation model looked like. Today I'm just going to give you a little bit of a demonstration around the Meta5 DBA tool. Okay? So with that, let's dive right on in. What you can see in front of you now is the Meta5 workstation. You can see I'm just signed in as guest to a starter edition. This is like your entry-level product, so you can get one of these for cheap. And it's the DBA tool that's already open to hide other things on my desktop. And you can see that there is a logical database defined down the left-hand side. So this is the user interface for the DBA to be defining what the documentation looks like. And this is the equivalent of the business objects universe, the MicroStrategy schema, where the DBA defines all these things within the workstation tools data dictionary so that the Meta5 query tools and reporter tools can talk back to any database that's in the background, right? So this is the abstraction layer between the tools that talk to the database and the actual database itself. Okay, so all these products have one of these, and Meta5 was one of the first. So just to take you through this, down the bottom is all tables, and we have a mechanism which creates this, all tables, and you can see that they're sorted in order, okay, alphabetical order, and you can scroll down. They're alphabetical order of the underlying table. And you can scroll down, and of course we've got like 850 tables in here. Now, obviously 850 odd tables, it's a little bit hard to get around. You want to categorize them, put them into some way, shape or form, etc. So we have details, we have base, this category called base, and we have some models there, and that'll show you in a minute. Then we have details, and under details we have all fact tables. So if I click on here, these are just the fact tables in the base model, the BI4ALL base model. So in BI4ALL we have a base model, base, telco, retail, web, and media are the ones that are available today out there in the public. Okay? So we go to all fact tables in base, and we can see the fact tables in base, and it's quite a wide range of fact tables in base, about 70 or 80, something else like that. And then all the dimension tables in base. Okay, we scroll down there, quite a lot of dimension tables in the base model. If we pick a table, it'll show you the fields, and if you pick a field and hit F4, it'll show you the details of the field. Is it an integer? Is it a key? What's the display order? What's the description of it? Etc. etc. If you pick a table and hit F4, you'll get information about the table. Is it used in the reporter fact table, reporter dimension table, etc. If we go here, we should get a description. Now this description, unfortunately, is limited to 255 characters, whereas the CTL description for tables is unlimited. I think it's like 4,000 characters. So to take the description from CTL and put it into Meta5, you do have the restriction on the length of the descriptions. Okay? And I don't expect that will be changed anytime soon because, quite frankly, not many people look at the descriptions, right? So you can see the tables, you can see the fields, and all that sort of stuff is all in here. For retail or telco, you can go down to all fact tables. Got a lot of fact tables in telco. Telco is our most mature model. It's the model that we put into a lot of places and develop further and further and further and further. So our telco model is very mature. You can just see some of the tables there. Just scroll down. We'll scroll down here. You can see quite a lot of tables in the telco model. And also in the dimension tables, quite a lot of tables in the dimension table telco model. Retail, same deal. Not many fact tables in retail, not many dimension tables in retail. Web, similarly, not that much. And media, not that much. Remembering that these 4 submodels sit on top of the base, which already have nearly 200 tables in just the base. So these submodels go over the top of the base, and the base defines a standardized business. And then there's the things that are different about telco, retail, web, and media. That's how the BI4ALL models work. They are still for sale. The BI4ALL models are not free. These are the things that I spent many years going around the world implementing. It's kind of the next generation of them, right? Now, CTL is what we used to implement those models and get the whole project done. And then at the end of the project, we would migrate the CTL, ETL to maybe Informatica or Data Stage. They were the common 2 ones. That migration of the ETL subsystem would take about 2 weeks, all up, and the customer would be finished with their running, working data warehouse on our models using whatever their choice of ETL tool was, and CTL would then no longer be used. It would be used as a development tool. But CTL and BI4ALL enabled us to develop data warehouses for major companies in about half the effort that anybody else could do it, if not significantly less, right? So I just want to go to sales transactions. So inside the base, there's a submodel called sales transactions, which obviously you need. And if we click on sales transactions, what you see is there's just some tables in this category, right? And you have the sales transaction, you have the customer dimensions association, the account dimensions association, the campaign dimensions association, and the solicitation transaction. So if the sale came from a solicitation and you could find that solicitation, you can link it to the sales transaction. And then there's other tables in here as well. So if we look at the sales transaction table, you can see the sales transaction table. That's the primary key of the sales transaction table. We'll just hit that here. You can see this field contains a pointer to this table called fsale transaction, right? Obviously all this is coded. These are keys, it's an integer, etc., etc. And then you have like the sale date. This field contains a pointer to the dimension fact table called sale date, called d sale date. So these are the keys, the lookups, and then these are the actual amounts. So this is the unit amount for this transaction, and then this is the unit amount multiplied by the number of units for this transaction. So it's the extended amount, etc. So you get the idea. But this is a sales transaction. It has an integer key for each record within the sales transaction table. It has the lookup keys, including the keys to the association tables. It has some data on it, and it has some fields that you want to have, the sales transaction return, period return, the audit fields, the internal audit fields which are used by CTL to guarantee data quality, etc., etc., give you an opportunity to back out gracefully in the event of disasters and all those things. Those fields are not shown here because this is supposed to be the user's gateway, the user's window into the database, okay? So they are not shown on the individual tables, which is why you might be wondering where they are. So that's the sales transaction. Then obviously, all the other tables along here, customers, all the normal thing you would see in customers, product, all the normal things you would see in product, cards, all the normal things you would see in cards, okay? It's a very normal data model. It's just everything you need to build data warehouses, basically. So the BI4ALL models are everything you need to get started on a large data warehouse for a large company. That's what the models are. And we used to sell them for quite princely sums when I was traveling around the world implementing these things. Okay? But this is not so much about the models. If you have questions about the models, then by all means talk to me. But this is about documenting them. So now you've seen what's in there. We'll just hit show joins. This is the cool bit, right? Show joins. Here we are. We have a model. Now, obviously, this screen is just HD, right? And you can see that if I scroll down, it goes down to some extent. And if I scroll to the right, it goes to the right to some extent. Okay, so it doesn't all fit on one HD screen. But what I showed you in the prior post was that if we blow the screen up to a super HD, then we could take a photo of it, take a screenshot of it, and we can put that into documentation. Okay? And this is how this works. So I came into this tool, I put all these pages, all these tables where they're supposed to be to give me some room around there, and created this quite nice documentation. I blew this up to a full screen, I took a picture of it, and I cut and pasted it into the PowerPoint presentation and made a quite nice piece of documentation out of it. Okay? Now, I have used, oh my goodness, I have used a lot of database design tools over my lifetime, and I can tell you that doing this is a good sight easier than trying to do this in any of those design tools. This is not intended to generate the SQL into the database and maintain the database or anything else like that. It is intended to give you a window into the database through the Meta5 tools to be able to query it, but it's not your DBA tool. And because it's not your DBA tool, it's a heck of a lot easier to produce documentation like this than it is through a data modeling tool. A heck of a lot easier. Okay? But you get the idea. This is your data model. Scrolling across to the right, you can see the tables there. You can get that, you can print it out, and that can give you a fairly good start on your data models. We'll just go down here to Customer Dimensions Association, same sort of thing. We hit Show Joins. It's going to draw all the joins for us. Same thing. Okay? And obviously you put all this stuff together and just make it cool, right? Last one, solicitation transactions, show joins. Solicitation date, prospect, customers, demographics, product, the solicitation transaction itself. Scrolling over to the Customer DIMS Association, company reporting structure, account DIMS Association. All these sorts of things are there in this graphical tool that you can then take and commit to PDFs, PowerPoints, anything else like that. Pretty cool. Now, as I said in the previous one, Sean Kelly was always asking me, we need a better way to document our models. This is what we should have done. But back in those days, when Sean was asking about that, Meta5 was very expensive. It was sold only as an enterprise edition. There is now the Workstation edition. You see where it says Meta5 Workstation? This is a Workstation edition. You can get it for like $500 a year, which is, for a DBA, free. I mean, it's not even a day's salary, right? And it's going to save you a lot of time and give you nice documentation. So well worth it. Next, I want to take you across to, well, what's the bridge between CTL and Meta5? Do I have to do extra work for that? How does that get across? So CTL itself has a mechanism which is data models, joins, tables, indexes, all this sort of stuff. And that's all managed through the CTL workbooks and loaded into the CTL dictionary. And you've got the source code for all that. So I'm not going to go through that because you've got the source code for all that. If you want to understand how it works, download the source code, have a look at it. Bob's your uncle, right? But there's one extra piece of SQL that's needed to marry up this with the CTL data models. And that is in here. And of course this will be posted underneath the video. right? So fundamentally, BI4ALL 3000 M5 is the database that has the Meta5 Workstation Tools Data Dictionary in it, and BI4ALL 3000 is the database that has the CTL documentation dictionary in it, right? So you can see BI4ALL 3000 M5 DBO WT tables. WT tables is a Workstation Tools table describing tables. You see here BI4ALL 3000 DBO CTL DW views doc 03. That's a table which contains information about views. Okay? And you can see PK spreadsheet name, PK spreadsheet version. So as you go through different versions of your data model, if you want to version everything, you can. You don't have to version everything, but versioning is available. If you want to version things, then you'll have to go through and change these versions. And simply put, you can go through, you can read this. It is, we'll scroll down. It is 146 lines of very simple SQL, okay? And you just run it, okay? You go do your modeling, do your updates, do your models, be a happy camper, changing everything you want about your models in the CTL modeling spreadsheets, I should say, and then you just come in here, run this, boom, it'll go in and update everything. There is one other thing you have to run. There's a Meta5 capsule you have to run, but I won't get into that just now, because all you do is you go to the capsule, you click run, you wait an hour or so because it takes a while, and then you just come in and run this. So obviously, you know, you've done, say, a week's work on documentation and models, etc., etc. You want to refresh your documentation, you just run the capsule, go do something else, come here, update this, and all your documentation will be updated, right? Now it doesn't just do tables, it does the joins. So if you go down here and you look at WT joins, it inserts into the joins table within Meta5, and it's getting the data from BI4ALL 3000 CTL data model joins. So we also support the definition of joins in BI4ALL and the CTL tools, and these joins also come across automatically into the dictionary. So all those joins you saw drawn on the charts or on the documentation, those data models, all those joins are put there automatically for you. You don't have to sit there and join them all together like you have to do with most DBA tools, right? You don't have to manage all those joins. They're managed in the spreadsheets, and for the most part they're generated. Okay. Now obviously with the BI4ALL models, all the joins for all the tables that are already there in the models are already there. Okay, so it's only the joins, the new ones that you create, that you have to put in. All right. But just to show you what's really going on, we can go into SQL query, and I've minimized the left-hand side because I've got databases with names in them that might make sense to some people. So there's a catalog table. This is the BI4ALL Meta5 dictionary, which is a dictionary which is put into a different database which looks back into your data warehouse database. Okay. So you have a separator. This is what you saw on the screen, and this is the name of it underlying, which you didn't see on the screen. So you saw base, you saw sales transactions, you saw solicitation transactions, you saw telco and all fact tables, all dimension tables. You saw this listed at your category level. Okay? And then that's what's in the catalog. The next thing is here is in a thing called contents, and this ties the category to the table name. Now there's that category called all tables, and all tables is in every table you have in the data warehouse is listed in all tables. And then when you go down, the categories change. Okay, so this is base all dimensions, and so these are all the tables in what was base all dimensions. And then we go down a little bit further, and we see all the tables in base all facts, and you can see the display order. So there you go, 251 tables in the base dimensions. And how many? 97 fact tables in the base facts. And then you have base campaign dimensions association. You can see just a set of tables that are in this catalog. So these table names are repeated from all tables into the category in which they appear. Okay, that's how that works. And you can see there's 1,833 rows here because some of the tables are used in multiple different places, multiple different categories, right? So that's how your table makes it into the category. And then, of course, we have the table itself. So you have the table name. This is the underlying name in the data warehouse. So this is what's used, and this is the SQL name. Now, as a standard, we make the table name and the SQL name the same. They don't have to be the same, but it's confusing if you don't, right? So you have the table name, you have the print name. Now the print name is what you are seeing in the data model, right? In the data model, pictures and things like that, the print name is what you are seeing. And so on the print name, we put fact, F or D at the front to tell the user what it is. And then we have a description on here. Now, Meta5 Workstation Tools Data Dictionary allows you to version everything. And typically we don't, right? So you have descriptions. Some of them don't have descriptions. Okay? Just haven't put descriptions in there for them is what that means. That means Peter's lazy and hasn't typed the description in yet. Okay? So you have all these descriptions, and of course these descriptions is what is available in user documentation. Okay? And you see down here 873 rows, but of course that also includes the few catalog tables right down at the bottom. Okay? So call it 850, somewhere around there. Those are all the tables that are available and defined. Then the next tab is the columns. So you see the table name, the column name, the print name of the column, and the data type, precision, key usage, display order, and description over here. And again, the SQL name for the column, we make the same as the column name as a standard, just to avoid any confusion. But obviously the print name is the documentation name, and you can make the print name whatever you like, up to I think 128 characters or 255 characters, one of the two. And obviously you don't want to make it that long because it's what appears on the screen, right? So although you want it to be meaningful, you don't want it to be really long. You want the long piece to be in the description if you wish. And of course in the description, you can see down here in columns, there's 23,190 columns in the BI4ALL models. And as I said, right at the very end, you'll get some columns for the catalog. So we can call it, basically we can call it 23,000 columns in the BI4ALL data models, right? Now a data model with 850 tables in it, with 23,000 columns in it, that's a significant data model, especially when you can customize and implement it into almost any business with those 4 categories that I talked about. Telco, I'm going to have to remember them, aren't I? Telco, media, web, retail. Okay, got them off the top of my head. Telco, media, web, retail. Those 4 focus areas are very well covered, with telco covered the best. This is telling you that, hey, these data models are pretty substantial, and they've got full documentation with them, and everything you need with those data models is there, And CTL is a tool that we implement the data models with into system testing and stress testing and all that testing environment, and then right at the end, as I said, we cut over to whatever ETL tool the customer wants. If they want to keep CTL, fantastic, but really big companies, like I used to do mostly telephone companies, they want to use a recognized ETL tool, and the two favorites were DataStage and Informatica, and we did a lot of those too, right? So that's telling you there's 850 plus tables, there's 23,000 plus fields. You can actually see the select, you can actually see the data inside the Workstation Tools data dictionary, and that is all represented graphically like this. Okay, with all those joins being handled all through the CTL spreadsheets and things like that. Okay? So I think that's enough for this demonstration. I would just like to say in finishing, thank you very much for your time for watching this video. I hope what you saw was interesting, and if you've got data warehouse data models like we've got data warehouse data models, and you would like a better way to document them, let me assure you the very small price you will pay for getting a Meta 5 license to get to use the DBA tool is well worth your time and anguish for giving good models of this documentation either to your developers or to your end users. Okay? So with that, thank you very much for listening, and bye for now.